Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Business here, doing an overview video on the Tier 6 American battleship, the New Mexico. I've actually been kind of hesitating on doing a video with the battleships because it's kind of hard to do. I don't think the gameplay translates very well to anything other than your actual play at the time. Meaning that as far as like streaming or YouTube videos, you know, the game is just it just doesn't seem to translate quite as well, which, you know, is sort of like the carriers too. But I mean, despite it being very tension filled when you're playing, it's a bit different when you're watching it after the fact. So just putting it in its base form here to give you a look at how goddamn ugly it is when you first get it. Those mesh towers and everything, it just looks so bad. It does have a very minimal amount of anti-air defense in both the first hull, and actually I wouldn't even say the second hull is an upgrade at all in respect to the AA guns. I mean, if you take a look at what's available there, it's hardly anything. Once you actually get the third hull, however, it goes up considerably. The second hull actually gives you some turret upgrades there in regards to damage to the HE and the AP shells. The turret traverse on this is a ridiculous 60 seconds, so you really need to pay attention to your heading, your targets, and prepare for you know, any eventual changes as well. It does get a spotting aircraft with either the second or the third hull. And just showing the modules here, the upgrades, I mean. I go with the increased range, although I would possibly suggest the AA gun modification. Just kind of depends on what you're running into more. If you feel like you're being outranged more, then obviously go with the range. I prefer that because I'm generally accurate enough to be able to hit you know, at 18-20 kilometers with any battleship, given, you know, proper dispersion and everything. You're still at the mercy of that, of course. But taking a look at the secondaries, this actually has two sets of secondaries. I think it adds up to about 9 each side. I'm thinking, yeah, looking at the numbers there, it should be 9 each side. So this actually has some of the better secondary capabilities than, as far as I'm aware, any other battleship for the United States. I know it improves a bit when you get to the North Carolina, the Iowa, and the Montana, but as far as the actual number of cannons for secondaries, I don't think any of the ships actually beat this, but maybe I should look into that. So just taking a look at my captain skills here, I go with my usual upgrades: the secondary armament, the turret speed, the superintendent for the extra healing charge, and I just got the advanced firing training at the time of this video, so I have some extra AA range and a little bit more range on my secondaries. This one is actually really important: the basics of survivability. It reduces the time for your crews to put out the fires and flooding. So if you combine it with the fireproof flag, you will have a 35% reduction in the time to fight a fire. So if you have that equipped, say it's, you know, say it's such and such time, like 60 seconds or whatever for your fire to get put out, you can reduce that by 35% if you have that flag and that skill learned. So I mean, that's, to me, that's huge, and that's a major part of survivability with any of the battleships. So these guys were nice enough to go ahead and cross paths for me there, so knock out Phoenix, I think it was, and do some decent damage to the Wyoming. This match had already kind of sort of gone downhill from the start. We clawed our way back. Kamikaze in his Ryujo definitely pulled weight for us, and I took a hell of a beating here. So if you take a look there, they obviously don't see the destroyers off to my left, and the Kuma off to my right is a complete non-factor. He's not shooting, he's just trying to set up torpedoes and not helping me at all in any way, shape, or form. So it's me versus all these battleships and cruisers and whatnot, and I make a mistake here that should have cost me the game. I mistimed my turn here because I fully expected that this Wyoming that I just targeted, he was still reloading, and he was, up until about now. And that should have killed me. But it didn't, so I've got to make him pay like any good player would do, so voila. Yep. That kind of hurt. But, I mean, granted, it's only one Citadel, it's not like, 4 or 5, but, being left with 400 health is no good for anybody. So again, angling because, I've got the battleship shooting at me here. I'm giving him the least amount of target that I possibly can. There, you see that destroyer kind of warp back. There are some desync issues from time to time with the replays, but get this Omaha here, try to help out my destroyers so they can close in on the enemy destroyer. And got a good hit there with the torpedoes, which helped out quite a bit. But again, I saw that he fired, so I'm trying to pull back left because I had just started a turn. So again, give him the least amount of target I possibly can. Doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you get yourself in a position where they force you into a position that you have to take your chances and go with it. But boom, there's another kill. So if you're taking a look at those health bars there, you'll see something that's kind of stupid. And that Fuso, he's doing what a lot of Fuso players do and sit all the way in the back and contribute absolutely nothing. If he was up here fighting against us over here on this side of the map, I definitely would have been killed. At the very least, I would have died, and maybe another ship or two would have died. Again, another desync issue there. The cruiser is actually moving, but yeah, you can see where I shot and where the damage came up. Completely different, and now he warps. So stupid stuff, but whatever. So Cleveland broke through the line, and I'm lining him up, sizing him up, and just waiting for him to give me a profile here for me to shoot, because I don't want to waste my shots at this point. There it is. And the thing is, lovely. The thing is, with the New Mexico, it's surprisingly accurate. Like, I mean, you'll still have those games where just nothing's lining up, or you're just not doing any damage, of course, but considering what comes afterwards with the Colorado, this actually is a pretty damn good ship. And I have a bunch of replays with this where I'm brawling it out with, say, New York's and other New Mexico's even, and I'm not getting Citadel hits, but I'm still doing anywhere from 8 to 22,000 damage. I had a match on Fault Line where I had a Wyoming. He was at an angle to me, and I still did 22,000 damage to him without a Citadel. Like, I just dumped all my rounds right into him, and that surprised the hell out of me. Usually you never get that many penetrations with the salvo, so I was pretty excited about that. But the velocity that these shells travel at is actually really high, and it takes, I think, a little bit of an adjustment coming from the New York, because you are able to hit, like, I mean, look at that, 5 hits, and that was probably 4 penetrations. Yeah, I think 4 penetrations and a bounce. I mean, that's a hell of a lot of damage without a Citadel, and I think that's the thing that the New Mexico seems to do really well. And so now we're just running the last remnants here down, and we win the game, do really well there. I think we, Kamikaze and I ended up with a total of 9 kills, but now I'm in the New Mexico on Islands of Ice in a tier 9 match. I don't know how the hell those dive bombers missed, but I'm okay with it. We have a tier 9 Taiho and an Iowa on our team. The enemy team has, let's see, there's the Ranger and the Shokaku, so tier 8 and 7 carriers as well. So everybody's kind of grouped up here. I mean, you could definitely see a whole hell of a lot of ships in a relatively small area, and this is actually, I think this is the second hull, actually, so it has very minimal AA defense, again, so luckily Kami is in his Cleveland and he's helping me out. Just always want to point out how bad the Tago drivers can be. That is a prime example right there. Just, you don't belong at tier 8, dude. I'm sorry, you just, you're out of this match. So, you know, get the Miyoko Mogami and grind your way up and then use that ship, because you're not going to learn anything getting wrecked at tier 8 right at the start. So, just fast forwarding a bit here. And let's see, the enemy has a few Amagis as well as New Mexico's. I think they also have the Nagato as well. Do some good damage there against that battleship. This is a bit of an interesting part of the game where you're at the standoff ranges. I mean, you see that large gulf between the two teams, and everybody's kind of still staying in that blob together, waiting for the cracks to show in the enemy team before they start moving in. Kind of let the carriers do the work, but they really can't because all the AA is so focused and grouped up, so they're definitely losing a hell of a lot of planes. But either way, it's, well, kill secured, right? Either way, it's interesting how some of this changes at the higher tier. Like, you gotta respect the power of carriers, otherwise you're definitely gonna get wrecked by them. I mean, you can't do anything about them unless you are in a carrier and you can take them out right at the start. Otherwise, you're at the mercy to their attention span. If you are, you know, in the back, not really fighting or anything, and there's a whole bunch of planes coming around the top side of the map, you're such an easy target. You know, you're out in the middle of nowhere. You can't maneuver nearly as well as some of the other ships in the game, and you know, you're just gonna get wrecked. So if, as has been said by many top carrier players, if they want you dead, you'll be dead, and there's nothing you can do about it. So that's a big part of the mentality when it comes to people staying in such a large but still tight group to maximize the AA. I figure when more people get to, you know, say the Baltimore and Des Moines, it'll be a little bit more spread out because they have such a huge sphere of influence with their anti-air. But yeah, looking at this though, not much is really happening. I mean, we're damn near close to capping this out, but the enemy team is just not pushing in on the cap. But you know, if we get any closer, any of these ships, we're gonna get annihilated, and that's a real part of the the fear as well. I mean, yeah, you've got the carriers, but all this concentrated firepower just sitting there waiting for somebody to get within, you know, the 17-kilometer range, and you know, you have 10 ships bearing down on you. So about 10 minutes in, I finally get some damage, but not really sure which target I'm positioning for here. Just trying to see if somebody's going to make a mistake, and the Atlanta decides to push up for some reason ahead of others, and then he realizes his mistake. So I sort of wish I had HE loaded for this particular moment, but I was also hoping that this would have done a hell of a lot more damage and killed him outright, but I did do some damage, but not nearly what I should. So maybe need to go back to the co-op mode for a couple rounds and see what I can do against some of these smaller ships, because every now and then it just seems like you can't hit anything, and it almost feels like everybody should be able to have access to a damn gunnery range or something, have a better feel for this and that. But the problem is that everything to do with accuracy is so random. So now they're starting to move into the cap. So they stopped us from capping out on them, at least at the moment. Definitely gonna focus on this New Mexico here, and there's a Murmansk behind him as well. He proves to be a little bit more of a nuisance later, and unfortunately, a lot of times when I do fire at these ranges, torpedo bombers seem to target the same guy, and I do minimal damage as they start to turn. So, but that's the life of a battleship driver, right? So now the tables have turned, and they're capping. So that changed pretty quickly. And it's a dangerous proposition, obviously, trying to cap with all these ships in such close proximity. But, it forces people into action, or at least it should. It doesn't always happen, of course. And that's actually, I would say, one of the most frustrating parts of the game, is when you're getting capped out and nobody is moving towards the cap at all. They just continue to go around islands or something. But so I start to move ahead a little bit here, and you can see I'm paying attention to my mini map here quite a bit, trying to see how much I should point forward based off of my teammates behind me as well. I do want to support my ship over here on my left here, the Amagi, make sure that he doesn't get knocked out right away. So I move up a bit to see if I can take some fire, and there's an enemy Amagi here. I was hoping to knock him out with the salvo, and it just didn't happen. So some damage, I guess. That's better than nothing, but still not what I was hoping for. But now I've exposed my flank, unfortunately. Take a pretty decent damage there. So there's, what is it? I think it's 2 New Mexicos over there. And I know that there's the Amagi, and yeah, there's a lot of firepower over here, and they're all starting to come together in the group. I've got Kamikaze here pulling up on my flank, and he's helping me out to make sure that any of the airplanes that come in there, they'll have a little bit more of a hard time trying to get me if that's what they're going for. But I remember thinking at this point, this match is over in like 20 seconds. Like, once these ships get around these islands, I'm so screwed. So I'm trying to angle just a little bit to make sure that I get as close as I can, and I've got rounds at the ready for when these when all these ships are open to me. I would like to knock out the Amagi first and foremost. The New Mexicos I don't think would be as much of a trouble for our team based off of their anti-air defense, but I try to prioritize targets. Doesn't always work, of course. Sometimes you just have to shoot at what you have available to you. Got a destroyer coming in ahead of me here as well. It's gonna launch a spread to try to break them up a little bit, but I decide to not go for the lead ship, and again focusing on the Amagi here, because he's very dangerous, and I cannot wait to get this damn ship. It's going to be fantastic, I think. But disable a turret, again, do very minimal damage. The dude's doing a great job as far as angling, so he's minimizing the effect my shells are having on him. However, because of the fact that the ship doesn't turn, accelerate, or slow down very, very quickly at all, now I'm in a position that I didn't want to be in. And that's the difference between like just a couple kilometers of drifting forward and whatnot. Now I've got 3 battleships bearing down on me, but the good thing is I'm at a good angle to where I'll be able to hopefully deflect some of their damage. Not that much, apparently. And I've also got a little trick up my sleeve here. So you can see I'm pulling a little bit to the left, bringing my guns to bear on both targets. So the front turrets will get the lead ship. I'll turn a little bit, and my rear turrets will get the ship in the back. And I can take some damage here, so long as I actually pull through and get a double strike. And that just changed the outcome of the game, I think, or hopefully it did. But the mermaids that kind of disappeared before, he goes ahead and launches torpedoes, set me on fire a couple times because he's mean. But that actually set me up for this salvo coming in from the Amagi that ends up killing me. So all in all, I think the New Mexico is a hell of a ship. I think it's a ship that people will be very happy with, you know, on the USN line after dealing with you know, some of the lower tier ships, which I like them all to varying degrees. But the big thing is the Colorado is next, and nobody enjoys that. I mean, almost everybody I see, they have about a 20 to 25,000 damage average drop off from the New Mexico going up to the Colorado. That's how much of a tragedy that thing is. It's a pain in the ass. But next video is on the Fuso, and hope you enjoyed, so I'll see you next time.